Okay, so here you can see the double-sided tape that I'm going to use to hold the blank down to this improvised stand. This is the Sure Tape brand of carpet tape from Lowe's. I really like it because it has kind of a webbing to it, which makes it peel up all as one piece, more or less. And it's really strong, but it doesn't leave a lot of residue after the fact, so I'm really been happy with it for this kind of application. Now here I'm carving away the bulk of the material with a TurboPlane wheel from Arbortech. It's a little bit different than some of the other wheels I tried in that it has blades on it, so it cuts the material away instead of using more of an abrasive method of scratching the material away. So the material comes off in chips, kind of like an electric planer would leave. And overall, I really like it. The material is less scratched when you use this particular wheel, which is nice. The one quirk I learned when I was playing around on scrap wood before using the nice wood here is that you need to stay parallel to the grain, at least in what I've found. Anytime it would even start to remotely go across the grain, it would want to catch, and in the scrap wood pieces that I was using, it tended to tear out big chunks that I didn't want to be torn out. I'm talking big chunks, because it would catch and just carve huge pieces away. So definitely stay parallel to the grain. Other than that, it seems to work very well. It allows a lot of control once you kind of get used to it. Now the blank that I'm carving on is actually, it's a curly maple on the bottom with walnut on the top. And it was actually kind of a lucky thing. I've been looking for a jointer for a while, and I finally found one on Craigslist that was a decent deal. Got a 6-inch rigid just because I can't run anything larger in my shop. And I didn't plan on using it for this project, but I ended up needing it because that curly maple had a twist to the board, and the walnut had quite a significant bow. So using that jointer to flatten everything out was really, really helpful. And then I also pulled my planer up off its shelf and built a stand for it so I could use it more accessibly, and having all that work together was really great. And here you can see I'm smoothing everything out with the Festool RAS 115 sander with 40 grit paper on the wheel. The funny thing is this is the wheel that I shredded in my last video, and so it's actually a lot smaller than the sandpaper discs, but I'm actually using that to my advantage here because it allows the sandpaper to wrap over the edge of the wheel. While this wasn't super handy for my last project, which was a convex form with very delineated lines, for this bowl shape or concave form, it was really, really helpful. And for more convex work in the future, I have a replacement pad that's hard, which won't shred so easily, and I also know not to run it up against sharp edges like I had with this one. I think that was a little beyond the scope of use. So here I am sketching out the outline of the bowl in chalk on the walnut, just for contrast, so I can cut off the waste on the bandsaw. Now here, I don't know if you can quite tell, but the walnut overhangs the maple a little bit on either side. If I had to do that again, I wouldn't do it that way. I would make them both flush. I didn't think it would matter, so I didn't take the time to cut that off, but it did kind of impact where I placed the bowl part of this, the inside bowl, and I probably brought that closer to the edge than I would have had I had a realistic view of where the actual edge of the maple was. Alright, so here I'm just taking the TurboPlane again to start defining that outside shoulder. When you see me reach up under the bowl with my fingers, that's just to kind of feel the inside profile to try to match it as best I can. Overall, I really liked this wheel, but you'll see here in a second where it tore out a big chunk down the edge. And so I learned not to, when I'm going vertically like this, I learned not to take it past that edge. And right here, just a sec, you'll see where it takes a big chunk out. Right there. You see there it started and it took a nice big chunk there. So I ended up having to round over the top a lot more than I had planned to, just because I had to roll with it. But I learned something for next time. So here I'm going back to the Festool RAS 115 with 40 grit paper. It's really handy to smooth out some of the planar marks and also kind of refine the shaping a little bit without removing so much material. So the TurboPlane's great for roughing stuff in, and you can finesse it a little bit, but here's really a good tool to kind of finesse things in. I'm not saying you need this particular tool. Another sander would probably work very well if you put such an aggressive grit on it, but this seems to work pretty well for me. Now here I'm back with my trusty RO90 sander with the interface pad, kind of rounding over the edges and smoothing things out. I'm going from 80 grit on up to 500 grit. Unfortunately, I did find some scratches after the fact when I was putting the finish on, so I'll probably go back and resand that again, but overall everything's looking fairly nice. I'm just kind of anal. Here I'm putting on General Finish's salad bowl finish. I've never tried it before, so I'm giving it a shot. I'm hoping it works out very well. I've heard very good things. So here I'm just putting the first coat, and then I've already put a second coat since I filmed this, and I will put some more coats after I resand some of the heavy scratches back up that I missed. So that's pretty much the finished bowl. Rather than doing my usual outro and what I learned on this particular video, in a week or two I'm going to do a recap of all the different power carving tools I've tried and what I've learned in using them. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe, check me out on Instagram, and like and comment on this video just to help other people find it. Thanks for checking it out, and please stay tuned for more. I already got another couple of videos in the works. Have a good one.